Anyway, so thank you again for joining. As a celebrated romance author, what drove you to intertwine mental wellness themes within your work?
So I've always had anxiety, and even ever since I was young, I would be worried about things that would never happen, and my mind would be spiraling until all hours of the night, until the alarm went off to go to school. And I didn't realize that was anxiety at the time, and it was very I guess I would worry excessively over very small things, even things like getting into trouble with the teacher or having yard duty. Yard duty is picking up rubbish in Australia as a punishment. And yeah, so I didn't realize I did have anxiety, and I was only diagnosed in 2016. And I thought when I'm researching about it, so many other people have gone through some form of mental health challenges at some point in their life. And when I was writing this book, I wanted to explore those themes. Like romance novels is very much like it does need that happy ending and happily ever after, but it's very but a lot of romance books these days, they do have those real life challenges, and I wanted characters that people could potentially relate to and connect with, and maybe see themselves or someone else with that. And I think that is important to see those relatable characters.
Yes, and I remember those romance novels back in the day, and they're just like, you have this handsome man embracing this beautiful woman, and they're like
Yes,
posing like this, like all, oh. And it's like,
yes, the
okay, then
Fabio look.
yeah, right. Let's get to the real topics of the real people with the real issues that they have in
Yeah,
relationships, because that's what builds romance too, is like you have to go through certain like challenges in order for relationship to
yes,
grow, right?
yes, I
Now,
know. And with this book, Stepping Stone, it's a second chance romance of a married couple with kids that separated but managed to come their way back together again. So yeah, romance, it's not all like fluffy and everything is swoon worthy. Like there are like a lot of married couples, they do have their challenges because marriage can be difficult, and there are issues where people might grow apart or they experience different things, and they have to work their way to find their ways back to each other.
totally. I know, right? They have to find their way. So, you do the Wim Hof method, right? And then also cold therapy.
Yes.
And so, can you talk a
Mm.
little bit about that and what that is and how that's actually helped play a transformative role in your personal journey with anxiety?
Yeah, so when I hadn't heard of the Wim Hof method before, but before that, I was going through a really big anxiety moment where, like, for a few weeks at least, or a few months, I was having trouble getting out of bed, and I was taking Valium every day to be able to get through the day. And then my brother, he's a pharmacist, and he asked me if I heard of the Wim Hof method. And since he's in the health profession, I thought that like he probably should know what he's talking about. And he he showed me who he is on his website and the program. And for the 10 weeks, it's a mixture of breathing exercises, so concentrating on different pulse points, meditating, and also cold therapy. So it starts off with like very small, so 15 to 30-second cold shower for the first week. But then by the end of the 10 weeks, you're doing 10-minute cold showers straight. And um, I have a very low tolerance for the cold, so I didn't think I would be able to do it. But um, yeah, so I'm the type of person during winter, I'm wearing about 5 jumpers just to go out, and so I didn't think I'll be able to do it. And even for the first week, where it was only 15 seconds, um, I was just jumping around saying, "This is cold, this is cold, this is cold," like in the shower. But then I did find I did build that resilience week after week. Like it gradually went up every week, and to the point where it was 10 minutes where I felt my whole body going numb. But then throughout the whole time, the cold shower, I find that all anxiety goes out the window, because all I'm thinking about is I can't wait to get out of this and for my alarm timer to go off already.
Right. So I've actually tried, I do a lot of breathing exercises and I love breathing exercises. But my sister actually took me to this, it's called Reboot Spa. It's where they have the floats where you just kind of float and you're all isolated. It's like isolation and decentered. And
Yeah.
and then also they have what is called the ice and hot plunge. So she took me there
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Berkeley, California, and I was like, okay, let's try this here. I can I can empathize with what you're experiencing because I was in the
Yeah.
heat of the sauna and it was so hot that you wanted to get in the cold, but when you got into like the cold tub, it was like
Yeah.
ice. It was like freezing. You're like, I was trying to like put my chest down, and the furthest I got was like just below my chin, and I was just laying there and like,
Yeah.
oh my
Oh,
gosh!
that's
And
still
then
good.
yeah, and then I wanted to go back into the sauna again, and it was back and forth, but it helped my muscles so much. I felt like I think I slept like a baby that evening. I was like, oh, this is great. So, yes, the hot and cold therapy and the breathing and the meditation, all of that is going to help with anxiety for sure. One trick that I used to do when I was young, because I
Yes.
suffered a lot from anxiety. I'm not sure if I don't think I told you
Hmm.
that yet, but I had
No, not yet in the conversation.
yeah. So I had horrible anxiety. Started off when I was a little girl, because of like some abuse that I was going through, and it was in my stomach, and
Mm.
so I just felt like nervous stomach all the time. And then eventually, as I got older, it led up to like my chest anxiety, heart palpitations, numbness in the face and the hands, all the way to the fingertips, because I was hyperventilating because I was afraid, I was fearful of what was
Mm.
going to happen to me. And then, but when I was going through an outpatient program, they taught me like, okay, just say 5 things that you're wanting for yourself in the future and 5 things that you loved yourself about in the past. And so I was like talking to myself, and then it kind of like helped with mellowing out that anxiety. But so I'm so happy you found something that works